Hello there, my name is Chris Hamre. I'm with the National Organization of Short-Statured Adults. Our website is www.nossaonline.org, or you can also visit www.shortsupport.org. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about growth hormone use, particularly as it pertains to use in children with idiopathic short stature. Now, let's say you're a parent of a small child. He's experiencing teasing and bullying at school. He comes home, he's crying, he's a lot smaller than his classmates and his peers, and now you're a little bit concerned. Now you're worried. Is he sick? What's going on here? Why is he so much smaller than the average child? So you take him to your pediatrician. You want to find out what's going on. The pediatrician looks at him and says, you know what, he's smaller than the average child his age. We're going to send him to a pediatric endocrinologist, which for the rest of this video I'm going to refer to as a PE, so I don't have to keep saying pediatric endocrinologist. So you take him to the PE and want to find out what's going on. Is he deficient in growth hormone? Does she have Turner syndrome? Is there Prader-Willi syndrome? Is there Russell-Silver syndrome? Is he going to be a dwarf? What's going on here? Why is my child shorter? Is he sick? So the PE takes a blood test from your child, and he determines that there's nothing wrong with him. He's not sick. He has an ample supply of growth hormone. There's nothing wrong. So usually what they'll say is that your child is probably has a growth delay, like a late bloomer, or he'll be referred to as having idiopathic short stature, which means that there is no known medical reason for his short stature. He or she are just short. So after you find that out, now you want to know how to treat the child. What am I going to do? Why is my child so much shorter than the rest? How do I make him taller? Well, here's what they'll do. They'll tell you, they'll recommend for you growth hormone treatment for maybe 5 or 6 years. Now, this is going to cost you. Since insurance companies do not cover this normally because it is not viewed as a medical condition. Idiopathic short stature is not medical. So you'll have to pay. Now, I'll ask you, how much are you willing to pay? Is the sky the limit? Are you willing to pay $20,000 a year? Because that's how much it's going to cost you. $20,000 a year for a period of 5 years. That will amount to approximately $100,000 for a period of 5 years. It could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less. It depends on the dosage as well. So my question to you, are you willing to pay that amount of money? Is it worth it to you? Okay, if you're willing to do that, let me tell you something else. There is a risk of side effects. Now it isn't 100% guaranteed that your child will have side effects, but there is a risk. Depends on how the child's body reacts to the growth hormone. You can get leukemia, your child can get leukemia, There's a risk of heart disease. There's a risk of diabetes, a risk of scoliosis. And there's also a risk of acromegaly, which is oversized hands, oversized bones in the hands, in the feet, and in the face. That's all. These are only risks. These aren't, like I said, these aren't 100% guarantee that this will happen, but they are risks. Now, knowing these, are you still willing to take the risk? Another point. Your child, there is no guarantee from the PE that your child will grow on the basis of growth hormone use. They can't guarantee it. They can make it a possibility. They can say, yes, your child will grow maybe 1 or 2 inches at the end of his growth cycle. Add on maybe from 5'3", he'll be 5'5", possibly. But there's no guarantee. They can't guarantee it. Now, taking all these issues into account, are you still willing to do that? Are you still willing to do with the cost, with the risk of side effects, with the possibility that there's no guarantee that they'll put on extra inches? Are you willing to do that? Okay, now, there's also something else to take into an account here. There is also the fact that if you give your child growth hormone for a period of 5 years, what you'll be doing is you'll be accelerating his pubertal stage, meaning that his growth plates or his epiphyses will close sooner. His bones will fuse together at an earlier age than they normally would if you didn't take growth hormone, meaning that there will be a loss in a couple years of growth. So are you willing to take that risk as well? Now let me read something to you. I'm going to talk about, there is a treatment though, that's only experimental. There's a treatment you can either use a GnRHA, which is a growth hormone releasing agonist, otherwise known as Lupron, or there's even a aromatase inhibitor. Now, what those will do is those will keep the growth plates open a little bit longer so they can maximize your growth hormone, the growth hormone injections, the use of your growth hormone. And it will keep the growth plates open longer. Now let me read to you from this book I bought a while ago. It's called Normal at Any Cost. It deals with the use of growth hormone in boys and estrogen in girls. Let me read a paragraph to you about this very issue, okay? Pediatric endocrinologists have experimented with Lupron for more than a decade to delay puberty and possibly increase final height. Aromatase inhibitors, on the other hand, are newer and are used to treat breast cancer by making the body unresponsive to estrogen. In the 1970s, a man with a rare resistance to estrogen was described in the medical literature when he grew an additional 10 inches after puberty. At 28, he had reached 6'8", and his growth plates still had not fused. From that case, doctors learned how important estrogen is for growth plate closure, not only in girls but also in boys, in whom some testosterone naturally converts to estrogen. It occurred to more than one pediatric endocrinologist that if you could hold the growth plates open indefinitely by restricting estrogen, a patient could be made to grow well beyond puberty. In fact, possibly beyond any limits imposed by genetic potential. And unlike Lupron, which is the GnRHA, aromatase inhibitors do not prevent the development of secondary sex characteristics. A boy's voice deepens and his beard starts to grow right on schedule with his classmates. However, the use of these two very potent medicines combined with HGH to treat height is not only unapproved and experimental, but also controversial, especially outside a controlled study. They add to the already considerable expense. They carry risks, not all of them known yet. Among other things, estrogen is key to bone density and preventing fractures. Now, I would like to add something else in here. How much does it say about society that we are willing, that you as parents especially, not that you're wrong, but you as parents are willing to spend this amount of money to possibly increase your children's height? How much does it say about how height is viewed in society? Why do we always have to change the child? There's nothing wrong with the child. Especially if there's nothing wrong with the child psychologically or emotionally. He's not experiencing any symptoms about his short stature. Maybe the best thing to do would be to accept the child as he is or she is, instead of spending a mountain of cash to increase the child's height when he really doesn't need it. What really needs to change is the way that shorter kids are treated in the schools and the way height in society is viewed as a whole. Maybe that is what needs to be addressed. Thank you.